All right, it is November 9th, and we've got 4 games on the NBA slate today and Saturday, and we are predicting every single one, just like how we are predicting every single game of the entire NBA season. We're doing this daily here on the channel, and we've got 4 games here today, headlined, I guess, by the Cavs and Nets, or maybe the Bulls and the Hawks. I don't know what the best game of the slate is. Maybe Hawks-Bulls. Yeah, it's probably Hawks-Bulls. I think so. And folks, if you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA predictions here on the channel. In an hour, we will have our college basketball predictions, so go check that video out, as well as our college football predictions that, the games are coming on today, but there's still time to make your bet, so watch the college football predictions if you haven't yet. Make sure to go check out our NFL predictions and our UFC fight night predictions that I forgot to click on. It's fine. Let's get into the first of these 4 games. Now, I'm going to say this before we get into the video. I am recording this at 3 o'clock, an hour before the Friday games start. I just have to get ahead on videos. I'm going somewhere for the weekend, and you'll see my new setup for the time being for Sunday's videos. It's going to be something. You'll see. I'm going to have to try to set it up in an Airbnb. Yeah, I'm going to take my equipment with me, and I'm going to record the videos on a laptop. So we'll see. Well, the camera will still be there, but you'll see tomorrow. Anyways, so I don't know what happened in the games on Friday right now, but obviously this game has nothing to do with the Friday games, Jazz and Spurs. Now we have the lines already for these games. These might move after Friday's games, but here are the lines as of now. Spurs Jazz. I like the Spurs. The Jazz, they played one game where they beat the Bulls. Other than that, this team, it just sucks. They don't play competitive basketball. They just don't. Okay, I thought, maybe they were able to keep the game within 14 points for the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that has struggled mightily this season, but no, they ended up losing the game by 23 points. That's my reminder to never pick the Utah Jazz ever again. Okay, that's my reminder. They're not on the ban list. Again, I'll keep showing you my ban list. It's the New Orleans Pelicans, it is the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs football team, University of San Diego basketball, and Jacksonville State basketball. We might add to that, but the Jazz are not in the ban list because, we know better not to pick the Utah Jazz to win a basketball game, okay? Lauri Markkanen is back now, which is great. Regardless, I think the Spurs are the better team. San Antonio's coming off their 13-point victory at home against the Portland Trail Blazers, and really, the Spurs are an odd team to pick. They're just so inconsistent. They're incredibly inconsistent. They're 4-5. They'll have nights where they'll beat the Timberwolves, and then they'll look horrible and get blown out by the Houston Rockets. I just don't understand this team. The pattern that I've seen with the Spurs this season, they play much better at home. They're a much better home team than they are a road team, and these two teams have met before this season. They played on Halloween, and that was a game won by the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs won that game by 18 points. Victor Wembanyama put up 25 points. Lauri Markkanen did not go that game for the Utah Jazz, but regardless, I don't think Lauri Markkanen makes up 18 points, and the game was in Salt Lake City as well. Give me the Spurs to win this game at home. I think they do cover the 6.5 points as well. Just Utah is so pitiful. This is a day game on Saturday, and I like the Spurs to take care of business. It's going to be San Antonio to cover the 6.5 points and win the game outright as well. We go on to our next one. We go to Atlanta. We go to Atlanta. I butchered this, guys. The game is in Atlanta, not Chicago. The teams are flipped, and I thought the Hawks were 2.5 point dogs. They're 2.5 point favorites. That's my fault. So don't look at the screen. I'm telling you right now, the Hawks is the pick. We're going with the Hawks to cover the 2.5 points. They are at home. I thought they were on the road, and I thought they were underdogs. Looking at the lines right now, I got that wrong. Now, again, this game could be affected by Friday's games, which I completely understand. The Hawks are playing the Pistons. The Bulls are not playing. Regardless of how the Hawks play against the Pistons, I hope they win that game. I think they win that game. All right, so hopefully I'm right. If I'm wrong, it is what it is. Regardless of what happens in that game between the Hawks and the Pistons, the Hawks return home for this game with the Chicago Bulls, and I'd expect them to win. Again, we went at length yesterday about how we, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks, and every game I talk about Trae Young being an underrated superstar in the NBA because he's exactly that, okay? That's what Trae Young is. He is an underrated superstar in the NBA, and for the Chicago Bulls, again, this team's lost 4 in a row. So regardless of the outcome of that Atlanta Hawks-Detroit Pistons game, the Bulls are still on a huge losing streak. All right, the Bulls have still lost 4 in a row. They lost to the Nets, they lost to the Jazz, they lost to the Mavs, and then they lost to the Timberwolves. They started off the season at 3-2. They are now 3-6. I'm still not too anti-Chicago, but Zach LaVine is likely not playing this game against the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, Lonzo Ball is still out with injury. If Zach LaVine is not playing, the Chicago Bulls, we cannot rely on them to win basketball games. Vucevic does his thing. Again, I like Kobe White. I like Patrick Williams. I like Josh Giddey. I like that entire starting lineup. but you take away Zach LaVine compared to a Hawks team that I really like as well, obviously. I mean, these are two teams that I pick a lot this season, I'll be honest with you. But with the injuries to Chicago, I do like Atlanta to go out here and pick up the victory. Again, Trae Young's been balling this season. Richardson is finally getting going. They're, the first overall pick in the draft. Jalen Johnson, Clint Capella. Capella's really not doing much. But I mean, it's Young and Jalen Johnson that have been really balling. And again, we've gotten supporting roles out of guys outside of Trae Young, which obviously is going to help Atlanta to win basketball games. I like the Hawks to pick up the win here. This game is in Atlanta, so I would expect the Hawks to get the job done. I know it's the second half of a back-to-back, but I really don't care. I think the Hawks are still going to win this basketball game. Give me Atlanta to win at home. They will cover the 2.5 points as well at home against an injured Chicago Bulls team without Zach LaVine. Next up, we move on to to Cleveland. My goodness. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be hosting the Brooklyn Nets. Now, again, I'll be honest with you guys, this pick could vary because of the Nets game against Boston. I want to see them play the Celtics because they did, have a long layoff. They played on Monday against the Grizzlies. They won. They did not play until yesterday. Now they get the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I picked them to cover, I think it was the 14.5 points against the Boston Celtics. I'm going to take the Cavs to cover the 11.5. Here's why. Second half of a back-to-back for the Nets. And I get it. Second half of a back-to-back for the Cavs, too. They're playing the Warriors. But the Cavaliers are more built to win on second nights of back-to-backs compared to the Nets, okay? So, again, I don't think it's that, it's not that crazy of a pick that we're taking the team that is right now, as of recording, 9-0. They might be 10-0 going into this game. That's no crazy pick that we're taking the team that, record-wise, is the best team in basketball right now in the Cleveland Cavaliers. The pick is the spread. I still think Cleveland covers the spread. It's 11.5. Again, Brooklyn in the second half of a back-to-back. And this voodoo magic shooting needs to come to an end eventually for Brooklyn, right? I feel like eventually it has to. Now, if the Celtics covered, it would be a wrong pick on my end yesterday, but it helps our case out a little bit in this game. Regardless, I like Cleveland to get the job done. Again, the Cavs are playing great basketball this season. They just blew out the Pelicans. I don't know what happened in the Warriors game, but they blew out the Pelicans. They did not cover this against the Magic, but they blew out the Lakers, right? They blew out the Wizards. They blew out the Raptors. They should be able to blow out Brooklyn. Again, I get it. The Nets play competitive basketball, and Brooklyn just hangs around in every single game, which is annoying to pick against the Brooklyn Nets because of guys like Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder. These guys just have random shooting nights where they go crazy, and it does make it very hard to pick against them. But if there was ever a team we're going to pick against the Brooklyn Nets with, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, I am high on the Nets. As well, I wasn't at the start of the season, but after watching this team play and after watching them spoil my game when I picked against them with the Bucks, when I picked against them with the Bulls, now I'm starting to pick the Nets again, even though I proceeded to lose the Bulls game with the Nets, and then I was like, all right, we're going to take the Nets against the Detroit Pistons, and they lost. The Nets and Pistons are two very confusing basketball teams. I'm not going to lie. They're extremely confusing. That's why I'm hoping I got the read right with the Hawks yesterday. We'll see. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover. Again, if there was ever a team that was going to cover that line and spoil the line spoilers in the Brooklyn Nets, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Give me the Cavs to win the basketball game, and they will cover the 11.5 points as well. We go on to our final game. It is the nightcap. We've got the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Toronto Raptors. We are taking the Clippers to cover the 7.5 points and win this game outright as well. They have finally broken the curse of not winning in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. They finally did it. They beat the Spurs, and they went on to beat the 76ers as well. Now, again, don't know what happened in the Friday night game between them and the Sacramento Kings. Regardless of that, I expect them to lose that game. Regardless, they're taking on the Toronto Raptors, who have not played since their game against the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday, where they lost by 15 points. RJ Barrett is healthy. Emmanuel Quickley is not. Scotty Barnes is out indefinitely, I do believe, right? He's out for at least the next week, last I checked, right? Extended period of time. He's got an orbital fracture that will not require surgery. So that sucks for Scotty Barnes, but no Scotty Barnes in this game in Los Angeles means the Clippers should absolutely dominate. Again, when is Kawhi Leonard coming back? I don't know. But James Harden, Norman Powell. Again, we talked about it at length yesterday in the final game of yesterday's video with the Clippers and the Sacramento Kings. Norman Powell has had a crazy season this season, and it should continue. Again, the Clippers have their number 3. I'll make the case Norman Powell fits them kind of better than Paul George did. Paul George struggled at times with the Los Angeles Clippers. Norman Powell, again, will Norman Powell keep this up? Probably not. But the way he's playing right now, hell, he's been much better as a number 3 compared to what Paul George was. I get it, Paul George was the 2, and Harden was really the 3 when those 3 were around, obviously including Kawhi Leonard as well. But, this scrappy Clippers team, they're 4-4. Now they've had some games where they've really laid an egg. I'm talking about that Suns game where they blew a huge lead, the Trailblazers game where they just couldn't beat Portland and couldn't score in the last 2 minutes of the game, and Zubac couldn't make a free throw, Harden couldn't make a layup, they just didn't get the ball to Norman Powell. they should beat up on the Raptors here. Again, Toronto without Scottie Barnes, we saw it last season, and the same thing applies to this season as well. Toronto without Scottie Barnes is extremely weak, and they will continue to be extremely weak without Scottie Barnes, okay? Lost back-to-back games going into this one against Denver and Sacramento. I get those are two tough teams on the road, but now you go to the road to play the Clippers. That's difficult, and then tomorrow night you go on the road to play the Los Angeles Lakers. 4 straight road games on the West Coast, and then after that, you go to Milwaukee in a game where the Bucks will probably start to figure things out by then. Yeah, this is rough for Toronto, again, especially with the orbital fracture injury to Scottie Barnes. It just makes it really tough on Toronto to win basketball games and cover at the same time as well. They got to rely on RJ Barrett to be the primary scorer, obviously Grady Dick as well, but I don't trust Barrett and Dick to win games. Give me the Los Angeles Clippers to win outright, as well as cover the 7.5 points as well, off the backs of a shooting performance by Norman Powell and James Harden as well. So give me the Clippers in the nightcap. And folks, that will do it for our NBA Saturday predictions here on the channel. So make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more daily NBA predictions here on the channel. Make sure to leave a like if you are enjoying these daily predictions as well. Comment if you do disagree with any of the picks, and make sure to join us in an hour for our college basketball predictions for Saturday as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.